As the NFL is about to embark on its 2018 season, they have, to use a football term, punted on this issue. To use another, perhaps less kind but more accurate term, they've created a turnover, a muffed punt, an incompletion. The NFL doesn't really know how to handle the anthem issue. And the anthem issue, in a nutshell, is that some, very few, but some players kneel during the national anthem to protest, essentially, excessive policing in communities of color. So the NFL really feels that it's in a bind. First, they had a plan to fine players. Then they had a plan to allow teams to fine players. And now they have really no plan. And their plan is, and this is just right out of the rule book of how to deal with a crisis, to ignore it. They will not be airing the national anthem during their broadcasts. In an ideal world, what the NFL would have done is maybe something like the NBA did. You know, there are no protests in the NBA, but the NBA feels those players feel more empowered because they're more respected. And if you just look at little things, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, always calls the players their partners. You'll never hear this language out of the NFL because they don't think that it's true. NFL players have long been thought of as more disposable. With the exception of a couple quarterbacks, NFL players are disposable. They're a little bit like cannon fodder. So the NFL views its players with less respect than some of the other leagues do because of the brutal nature of football. The players last for fewer years, so there's a greater turnover. This also means that they've had less time to establish themselves in the community. The voice, the megaphone that a player will have is not as big as the brand itself. So what the NFL should have done probably goes back 20 or 30 years, and it would be to empower players more, to maybe offer them contracts that are guaranteed for injury. I mean, it's an entire change of the business model of the NFL. They basically think of the players as hired hands, and for some very lucky number of those players, they get big $1 million contracts that are short term, and that's been the bargain they struck. But when something like this comes up, they have no real mechanism and they have no foundation of mutual respect to try to work out a solution that works for everyone. I think this is a problem of the NFL's own making. I know that it's a societal problem, but they handled it wrong from the beginning. They haven't really done the right thing any step of the way. And I think it's because they're scared, and I also think it's because that the vast majority of them don't really agree with what the players are doing. And I think that when you look at other sports, not just the NBA, but the WNBA, or even, private businesses who have instances like this, if you're closed-minded as a boss, you're going to have worse outcomes than if you really understand what your employees are saying. The NFL, in this case, seems not to have really heard what its employees are trying to say.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.